Good afternoon, Steel City. Welcome to the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Our 30th edition will be live from a different part of the black and gold paraphernalia place. On today's show, the Pittsburgh Pirates continue to battle for a National League wildcard spot, but they are struggling to keep pace. A big loss on Sunday has manager Derek Shelton second-guessing himself. I hope his second-guessing the rest of the year doesn't ruin our playoff hopes. Double yikes on that, clear the deck. Spoken week after week about our phenom Paul Skeens with all that is good. Well, this week I have some bad things to bring up, which he admitted himself. Yeah, he wasn't pleased with his last outing. I will go over it. Pittsburgh Steelers completed their second week of training camp, which I was at. I am now back, and I will give you the feel of it live with some notes, thoughts, and signaling out some Steeler players having great camps thus far. Hall of Fame weekend has come and gone, and it left me wondering if our beloved Hines Ward will ever make it to the Hall of Fame. I have a written out, tight blog I put together with some help from my friend Greg and my son Anthony as we went deep into Saturday night, pondering a special moment for one of our favorite players. Hashtag Ward Rules. 27 trip to Steelers training camp had its ups and downs. I will share the great moments, especially thanking the Latrobe Police Department. Memorabilia items signed and something that has never happened that was a real downer and left your host, Ralph Calise, with a scar and a memory for life. Well, Steel City, please come join me on my 30th episode, night live of the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sport. Let's go. Good afternoon, Steel City. Welcome to the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Ralph Calise, and yes, we are back from training camp with some good stuff. We'll get into all that. The Pirates, you'll start off with the Pirates. We'll get through Steeler camp. I have a special thank you to give out to a Latrobe Police Department, but we'll get all to that right after we do our. For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has brought you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to keep up with all the latest in sports and with our shows. Also, check out the daily updated websites, iesportsradio.com for some sports news, the IE Sports Radio blog, our Hall of Fame, which yours truly is the 24th member, Fans of the Month, pages dedicated to each podcast, our IE Sports Radio community forum, and stop by the shop and check out our great merchandise. Thank you for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. And if there are any episodes that you missed of mine or my fellow companions on the radio station, you could catch them all on what's listed here below, as you see here in the yellow. I'll read them off to you. That's Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, CastBox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, GeoSavant. And as always, from me, Ralph Calise, thank you for listening. Okay, yes, you could also get in touch with me and contact with the show at Yinzer Report IE on X Twitter, and my personal tag at KaliseR786. You can get in touch with me there if you'd like. And also, we'd like to get into our sponsors, Planet Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole nother planet, and Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. So once again, this is the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio. Let's hear from those sponsors that are very important. We'll be right back.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
All right, welcome back to the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And there you go. There's the two sponsors, Planet Beef Jerky and Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. Check them both out. I'm sure you'll find both to your amusement. All right, so here we go. Like I said, we're back from training camp. We got back yesterday, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Let's get into the Pittsburgh Pirates. So as it's been going, the Pirates right now, give you a little overview of where they're at. They're in second place in the NL Central. They're 6 games behind the Milwaukee Brewers. They have 51 games left. They're 4 games out of a wild card spot. And there are, I believe, 5 teams in front of them. They have a lot of ground to make up because the 4 teams ahead of them and they're 4 games back. And they're in a position now where they're playing teams that are in front of them, so they're all must wins. But I left last week to go to camp, and it was the trade deadline. So I'll just give you the Pirate players that they picked up at the trade deadline before I left last week. I believe while I was on air, they traded for Brian De La Cruz. They picked up Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, and they also picked up Jalen Beeks. So these 3 players actually have been playing since last week, since they were picked up, and they've all actually done their part in some of the Pirate wins and losses. But let's get started with the Pirates. Last week they had a 3-3 road trip that they finished up, and then they came home and they played against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now the Diamondbacks are a team that are ahead of them. So they had a 3-game homestand against the Diamondbacks. They came in versus Arizona Friday night, and they lost 9-8. It was a crazy beginning because the first 4 batters actually they didn't hit home runs. The first batter, Corbin Carroll, it was a little league home run. They would throw the ball all over the field, and he wound up scoring a run. And then the next three batters hit home runs. So back to back to back homers, and they were already down 5-0 after the first inning when it was all said and done. So the home runs were by Kelvin Marte, Jock Peterson, and Josh Bell, who was a former Pirate, who I actually thought the Pirates were going to go for at the deadline, especially once he got released. The 5-run first inning, the Pirates came back. They actually came back to take the lead at 7-6. And it was just insane. The crowd was insane in Pittsburgh at PNC Park. Like I said, Connor Holderman came in the game. All right, now this is the guy we're going to be talking about for the next 3 games, so just pay attention. Connor Holderman came in the game, and he blew the lead, and he wound up taking the loss. So that was pretty big right there. They wound up losing. They came back with a run in the 9th, but they couldn't get over the hump and beat Arizona. And they clocked the home run that Josh Bell hit, his second home run, off Aroldis Chapman. It was a 103-mile-per-hour pitch. And when I read it, I believe they said that was the fastest pitch a home run was hit off this year. So he hit the former Pirate, got them good that game. He hit 2 home runs. The next game was the 3rd, which was Saturday, and they wound up winning that game 4-2. So, like I said, I was in Pittsburgh. I was actually close to Pittsburgh, not in Pittsburgh. I was in Latrobe, and we were watching this game at our buddy's restaurant that we know out there. And it was a rain delay in the 4th inning, and Mitch Keller started the game. And you could see the skies opened up. It was pouring, and they were putting the top out. And you could see Mitch Keller. He had the baseball in his hand, and he just flung it right as they put the top on the field because he knew it was going to be a long delay, and he wasn't coming back in. And he already had pitched 4 innings, and he had a 1-0 lead, and he was pitching well. So he was that's one of our Buccos' big 3. He wasn't happy about what happened. When they came back after the rain delay, it was 1-1, and Brian Reynolds hit a clutch 3-run homer in the 6th inning. He put them ahead, and the reliever, David Bednar, whose nickname is Renegade, locked up his 20th save of the year, and the Pirates came up with a real big win. PNC Park was really buzzing after this game, too. So you could just see how the fans, they get into it in Pittsburgh with baseball. Then came the loss of the year. So this was Sunday versus Arizona. It was must appointment watch TV. It was Paul Skeens' day. He was on the mound. He left after 5 1/3 innings, leading 4-1. And the aforementioned Connor Holderman came in the game, and he blew the game. His stats was 1 inning, 2 walks, 1 hit, which was a 3-run homer, and the box score view was he lost the game, so he was 3-4, and it was his 5th blown save. And I just looked back before I came on; it was his 3rd loss in 3 games that he's come in. So they were asking the question after the game, the manager Derek Shelton, why have you used this guy 3 games in a row? I mean, they had days off in between. But why have you used this guy 3 games in a row, and he's lost 2, and now he's lost 3 of them? So before I get into what Skeens happened, let's get into what Derek Shelton said. So he was first asked about it, and when he was asked on why, Holderman was the choice in that situation, he said, Holdy's got to be better. He's got to make the pitch. He's pitched in that spot for us all year. And it did work. He later rephrased it and said it didn't work. So he's saying at first it worked, and then second it didn't work. Derek, what are you telling us? Yes or no? I don't know. I'm a fan. You got to tell me what's going on. So they told him, but that's 3 games in a row. That was their worst loss of the season, and Paul Skeens pitched. They are 9-5 when they actually should be 13-1 when he pitches. But again, he was asked, I think he was out at Steeler, because I just saw this today. I got this quote today. He was out at Steeler camp this morning, him and Ben Cherington, and I think one of the reporters asked him again why he used Holderman. And now, I mentioned at the beginning, he second-guessed himself. Here it is right here. He said it right here. He says, I don't regret letting Holderman pitch to Peterson, but I will review it. You will review it. What do you got to review? It's over. You did it. It's done. You let the guy pitch. He gave up a 3-run homer, and he cost you the biggest game of your season. You were winning 4-1. All right, wound up being that Skeens gave up 2 runs because the guy who relieved him got out of the inning, but a run scored, and then Holderman came in and he blew the game again. So that's 3 games in a row this guy has pitched and he's lost. When you had your bullpen all situated for the win. He had Aroldis Chapman he could have brought in. He had David Bednar. He could have used him again. And I think he dropped the ball on that one. He really did. So they're 4 games out of a playoff spot now. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Diamondbacks, and that's a team they're chasing. So you have to win those games. You have to win these games. You're winning the game. You have to win it. You have to go all out now. There's 51 games left. And I'm really scared that Derek Shelton is going to do something where he's going to lose a good 4 to 5 games, and it's going to put the Pirates really out of contention. So that's that with him and the Pirates. So Paul Skeens did pitch he did pitch the game Sunday. And like I said, I was out at Steeler camp. I wasn't watching the game. Sorry to disappoint you guys, but I did not watch the first Paul Skeens start. I did not watch because I was at Steeler camp. But it was funny because we were walking around the camp and they were, people, they sit in the end zone. It's like trees and hills and everything. There was a guy with his laptop. He had MLB streaming on his computer. I said to my friend Greg and my son, all right, you know what? I'll be standing. I'll be over here. So I actually did get to see some of his pitching, but I didn't get to see most of it. But anyway, he was not happy with his start. It was he took a no decision after taking a shutout into the 6th inning. He only pitched 5 1/3. He was pitching versus the highest scoring team in the MLB. And this was the 3rd time that Skeens, who was 22 years old, did not make it through 6 innings in his 14 major league starts. So, hey, I guess not every game is going to come up roses. The 4 Ks was the 2nd lowest total, but overall he has 107 in 86 innings. His streak of 8 consecutive quality starts ended. Like I said at the beginning, I've been praising this guy for weeks, and this is the first week that the stats aren't like I've been praising him. So like I said, 8 consecutive quality starts ended. His ERA went up 0.6 points. So it went from 1.93 to 1.99. Still the best in the major league, and in his starts, this is just crazy. 14 MLB starts. He has 6 wins, 7 no decisions, and 1 loss. So there are 7 no decisions. That's crazy. And don't forget, this guy didn't come up till the beginning of June? 7 no decisions. They interviewed him after the game, and I watched the interview later on when I got back to the hotel, and he just looked perplexed. You could see it in his face. And he was saying, he said about the game, it was definitely better at the start. I wasn't executing pitches later in the game. It really, what it comes down to, I just didn't feel great. It was one of those days. So, hey, the Phenom had a bad day. He didn't take the loss, but he had a bad day. We're going to crucify him? Nah, they need him. They need him for the home stretch. Like I said, 51 games left. As long as Derek Shelton keeps his head on his shoulders the right way, which I'm a little worried about, then I don't see any problems with them vying for the playoff spot till the end of the year. So, like I always say, we're going to keep tracking it. We'll see what happens. We are waiting for the other pitcher to come back, Jared Jones. He started to ramp up his injury in his arm. He started ramping up where he was pitching to live batters, and he should be coming back soon. So we will have the Bucco Big Three all back together again, and I think that's the jolt they're going to need. It'll be like adding a pitcher at the trade deadline when you get Jared Jones back, because he's a rookie too, don't forget, and he's having a phenomenal year. So we'll see what happens with that. Go Buccos, and we'll keep an eye on them. They do have a 3-game series coming up at home versus San Diego, who is ahead of them. So again, these 3 games are big games. They had this 6-game homestand is 6 teams that were ahead of them. They already lost 2 out of 3. I don't think you can lose 2 out of the 3 to the Padres. You got to come up with at least 2 out of 3, possibly a sweep. All right, so we'll see what happens with that. Let's check the chat. I see Danny Man. We are back. Yes, a little difficulty there, but we are back. Jen B, have a great show, Ralph. Hey, Jen B, thank you. Gridiron 2437. Good day, Ralph. Have a great show. Pittsburgh sports for life. Oh, you know it. Black and gold for life. And Danny Man, Paul Skeens, the tribal chief. Danny, you better watch. You better watch the SoCal Saint on Thursday when he's on, or Wednesday. He's going to have a great show. I was speaking with him about it. All right, so let's take a quick break. And when I get back, we're going to get into Steelers training camp. I got a whole bunch of stuff to go over. I have some memorabilia. I have a thank you to send out there to the Latrobe Police Department. Hopefully you guys are watching. And I have a story about myself, which is not good. But we'll get back to that right after this. This is the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
What's good, fight fans? It's your boy, Marcus Los Great, here to give you what you want, here to give you what you need. Yeah, man. Yeah. I'm coming to you live, straight from your mama's basement with a crispy, awesome white tea. We are coming to you live every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back. This is the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And there he is, that last drop. Marcus has just joined the chat, and he says salute. He put down there something interesting. Skeens keeps me paid. Wow, Marcus, you jumped on the Paul Skeens bandwagon. Hey, did you have a crispy white tee on when you did that? I love it. That is one of the best sayings in any of the drops that we have on IE Sports Radio. A crispy white tee in your mama's basement. Wow. Great job, Marcus. Great job. Yes, I hope he does keep getting you paid, Marcus. All right, very good. Always great to have fun with our fellow companions here on IE Sports Radio. All right, so here we go. 27th year at Steeler Camp. We got there Thursday. We left Thursday. I'm sorry. We got there Thursday, and we took in the training camp Friday night at live at the Latrobe Stadium in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, the high school team. I'm gonna go through everything that I was taking notes. I was putting it on my phone and everything. So this is like a person who is not a reporter's notes. So I'll just go through what I wrote just to give you the feel of how everything was going. So here we go. This was like 27th year at Steelers training camp. I jotted down the quarterback reps. Now we all know that Russell Wilson is suffering from a calf strain, but he's slowly progressing and slowly getting here and there. He's slowly getting into the plays, and he dressed for every practice. He was throwing the ball around here and there, and he didn't get in any like pads or anything, but he was taking a couple of reps. So the total reps so far for camp, not including today because I didn't go over anything today in camp. Justin Fields has 220 reps. Kyle Allen has 173, and John Rhys Plumlee has 38. Russell Wilson actually had 11. I don't know where the 11 came from, but he actually had 11. Justin Fields, of course, is getting most of the reps. 65 and 88 at a 73.9 percentage, 637 yards and 14 TDs and two interceptions. So basically, somebody put the stats out there of Justin Fields through training camp after 2 weeks. It's training camp, it's practice, but I guess it's something to go along by. The first 10 practices they put out of most receptions of 20 yards plus. You had George Pickens with 5, newly acquired Van Jefferson with 4, a wide receiver named Jared Jenkins 3, Roman Wilson 2 before he got hurt. As you know, last week before I left, he sprained his ankle and he was in a boot. Well, update on that. He was out of the boot by the Friday night practice, so he's doing much better, and he's walking around. Hopefully he gets back into training, and he definitely should be ready by week 1. Quez Watkins had 2, and wide receiver named Deuce Watts had 2. There was a lot of guys there that weren't familiar to me. Even looking over the roster and going through it 2 or 3, 4 times. Even my friend Greg and my son Anthony were reading it out to each other, and we were both looking at each other. And for my son not to know players, something's wrong. As you guys know, as you've seen him here on the Yinzer Report. All right, so Mike Tomlin had a take on his secondary, and he said that he looks for the little guys that can hit, and he mentioned Beanie Bishop. Beanie Bishop has been talked about on the Yinzer Report, as you know, for the past couple of weeks with my son and everything. So that was a good sign. Freiermuth came out and said the leader on offense is missing after Ben Roethlisberger retired. He's not any percentage off on that because you could see it the past 2 years. The quarterbacking was not good. Who's going to take that position? It's got to be one of the quarterbacks. It's got to be Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, whoever's going to be the starter. And I don't know. I wouldn't mind Pat Freiermuth taking the lead of offense. He's been there. He's been there 4 years now. He's a great tight end, but I guess he could chime in. I don't see that being a problem. The Justin Fields to George Pickens connection was on display. They Saturday. This was Saturday. I wrote this down. Saturday. I actually watched it. He had receptions, target yards, and TDs all while I was there. How many? I lost count, but believe me, George Pickens took most of the receptions, targets, and yards, and I know he had at least 2 touchdowns. Saturday, the third string offense after Justin Fields was done with the first team offense. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. The worst day of pads in camp. There was confusion, trouble getting off snaps flying over the quarterback's heads, O-line taking laps. What they're doing is every time the O-line is off sides, they had to run a lap around the field. And moans and groans from the fans. They didn't want to see the third string offense, and I don't think they want to see any of those guys. Saturday, there also was a weather delay. There was lightning in the area, and the field was evacuated. So for an hour, we had to go back and sit in our cars and wait till it came back on, but it did come back an hour later in session. Peyton Wilson is usually the first player down on the field for practice. This was all through camp, except one day this weekend where there was another player. I didn't get his name. Actually showed up before he did. Russell Wilson, he spoke highly of the rookie wide receiver Roman Wilson, stating that the rookie has a great mindset and demeanor, and gives his throwing process he thought his process is being very mature, and he feels that he wants it. He sees that he wants it. Patrick Queen, Steelers says practices are crazy with tackling at Steelers camp, not like the Ravens. Well, you know, Patrick Queen, he got into that little thing with the Ravens already. He threw another dig out there. And this was my notes on the Friday night practice. This is just insane. It's just great to go watch. So it's almost like watching a football game. The crowd was insane. I think it was the largest crowd ever. The vibe was it was like a Sunday game, and this was like a practice. It turned out to be training practice number 8. Backs on backers. They have a backs on backers where the Steeler running backs go up against the linebackers, and they try to see who gets the biggest push. And this led to a scuffle. There was 2 out of the 4 days I was there. There was 2 scuffles one was between the offensive line and the defensive line, and the other was between the running backs and the linebackers. So the backs on backers was more like a fight than football. The offense was led by Justin Fields as he shined under the lights, especially in 7 shots. So what 7 shots is, Mike Tomlin lines the offense and the defense up for 7 plays, and it's just offense versus defense. He shuffles in players in and out, but this one was all Justin Fields versus the defense, putting a show on because it was Friday Night Lights. Mike Tomlin figures he gives the fans, what they came for. And the offense beat the defense 6-1, meaning they scored 6 touchdowns out of 7 tries. And Justin Fields was, oh my God, he was amazing. I couldn't believe what I was watching. Defensive stars in camp, from what I saw, 2 out of the 4 days was the aforementioned guy I mentioned that I was going to watch when I went down, Ryan Watts. He showed up. And believe it or not, Cam Sutton, who was going to be suspended for the first 8 games of the season, unless the appeal warrants it to be less, but we haven't heard nothing on that. They shined. They shined a lot this weekend. Queen got hurt on the 7-on-7 drill. He hurt his ankle. I think he went in the 7-on-7 drill, but in the backers on backers, he went up against Jaylen Warren. And if you can go on social media and just put it up there, put Friday Night's Lights Steelers backers on backers. Wait till you see the 2 battles these 2 guys had. Insane. If you like contact, a one-on-one guys, check it out. So this was my biggest take from camp. The preparedness of the new kickoff rule, a lot of the time, was taken to practice for the new kickoff rules, bringing up that some teams might not be willing for the 30-yard touchbacks with the new rule. This is Tomlin. This is how he feels about it. Tomlin is not among those people. I'm not interested in spotting people on the 30-yard line. I could see it. In his perspective, as he coaches the special teams unit, those 10 yards or so we are fighting for, we can't live in our fears, and you're pursuing greatness. You got to take risks. We got to get those yards in our favor, and it could be a difference between a W and an L. So that's Mike Tomlin talking, and that was his thoughts when they asked him about the new kickoff rule. I found that very interesting. Then came Sunday. They practiced with pads, and it was called Short Yardage Day, Big People Day, as they called it. A couple of notes from this was Van Jefferson keeps progressing. That's right now probably their wide receiver number 2. He played really well. And rookie Mason McCormick, who was drafted, arrives. He showed up. He in that, like I said, Big People Day. He showed up. He was doing really well Sunday. Again, Ryan Watts. I think he came up with an interception. He was ball hawking all day, and you could see the wide receivers getting frustrated that he was covering. Tomlin was impressed with his D line in the goal line attempts. They were really trying to represent themselves, but it was just crazy. The D linemen were really, they were pounding the running game for the Steelers. They were stopping everything. It's like they line up at like the 7-yard line, and they try to run the ball in from the 7-yard line. And I don't think they got to the 1-yard line on any of the tries. Nick Herbig was living in the backfield. That's the backup linebacker. He's in his second year from Wisconsin, and he's been training with T.J. Watt, so it can only be arrows up for Nick Herbig. He was in the backfield as a pass rusher a lot during camp. So those were the camp notes, and I mean, I had a piece of paper. I was writing on pieces of paper because I didn't have a notebook, but I kind of misplaced a couple of the pieces of paper. There was a lot more stuff, but this basically was the main stuff that was going on, and yeah, it was fun. It was really great to see the team. There's a lot of new players on offense, and hey, they still have work to do. And just put this out there, as of yesterday, as we were driving home, our phones are going off, and it says that the Steelers were in talks to trade for Brandon Ayuk. So I'm driving in the car, I'm driving home, and my friend Greg and my son are saying they're giving me all the updates on what's going on. And I'm like, we're getting Brandon Ayuk? What? Wow, Brandon Ayuk. I said as I was driving, could you imagine a five wide with this guy? It'd be George Pickens, Brandon Ayuk, Van Jefferson, Roman Wilson, possibly Calvin Austin, and Pat Freiermuth in the slot. That would be insane. But as you know, rumors are rumors, and the rumors went on all night that then the Steelers were out of the talks with Brandon Ayuk, and the Browns and the Commanders came in, and the Patriots, and then the Commanders were out, and it was between the Browns and the Patriots. Jen B, I believe, is coming up later on. Maybe she has more on her end about how the Browns are looking into him. But as of today, before I came on, there was all kinds of tweets and everything on Twitter that the Steelers are now back in negotiations to get Brandon Ayuk. So who knows what's going on? I know John Lynch out there in San Francisco is going to want a lot for this guy. So I could only imagine what the Steelers are going to have to give up. And I did see a tweet where it was mentioned that they asked in the trades for George Pickens or Pat Freiermuth. So, I don't know. And of course, a draft pick, a high draft pick. So you know how the Steelers are with draft picks. They don't like to give any of their draft picks away. So I don't know, but they're still in discussion, which is good. Maybe they can work something out. This shows me if they do trade for Brandon Ayuk, that they're going all in this year. I mean, it's not just make the playoffs this year. It's go all in. We want to make the Super Bowl, and we want to bring trophy number 8 to the Berg. And that's just how I look at it. So we'll see what happens. We'll monitor it, and we'll go from there. All right. So as we all know, this was the weekend of the Hall of Fame. And the inductees into the Hall of Fame were in there. And Saturday night, we got back to the hotel. We were at our friend's place that we know out there in Latrobe. It's called Moreland's at Waterworks. Great food if you're ever in the Latrobe area. We were hanging out with our friend and everything. We were eating, had a couple of drinks, and we were there till closing. It was about 10 o'clock or whatever, just catching up with everybody. And on the way back in the car, my friend Greg Lupani brought up, hey, when is Hines Ward going to make the Hall of Fame? So being that it was Hall of Fame weekend, we watched the thing with Steve McMichael, how he was inducted into the Hall of Fame. Very sad to see that, but great by the NFL and the Hall of Fame, how they did that. I actually had a little tear in my eye. It's just amazing to see how an athlete like that turned up to be the way he is, when you see him on TV like that. But it just got us to thinking, and we got back to the hotel. We went to the room, and I says, "Hey, let's talk this out," because it was late. We're all pumped up. The whole trip is about football. It's about the Steelers. It's about football. It's about us, just the guys. Let's talk about Hines Ward. He's our favorite player. Each one of us loved him, and let's just talk about it. So we talked about it. Now, these are the views of my friend Greg and my son Anthony on Hines Ward. We all threw it out there or whatever. We were up to like 1 o'clock in the morning talking about this from like 11 o'clock. I wrote a little blog on why not that he should be. Well, yeah, I want him to be in the Hall of Fame because you guys know he's my third favorite Steeler, could easily be number one. And I see Larry B posted Hines Ward deserves the Hall of Fame. We all agree. But I wrote a little blog about what was said between me, my son, and my friend Greg. And here it goes. Mind you, now I wrote this at 1 o'clock in the morning. Hines Ward, not a good thing to hear. Hines Ward isn't going to make the Hall of Fame. Not on this current track. Ward right now will go down as one of the greatest Steelers in history, so beloved by Steeler Nation and others for his toughness, his smile, his great playoff moments, and of course, a Super Bowl MVP and 2 rings. Why can't Canton, Ohio accept him and put that copper bust of this favorite Steelers player of mine in the Hall of Fame? As I look back, the Hall of Fame voters have made it clear Ward is good, but not good enough. He's been a semifinalist for 8 straight years and failed to crack the final 15 list for who will get voted on and discussed one by one to determine if they receive a gold jacket. That bust and that football immortality, as of the wide receivers are passing by Hines Ward, the order is clear whose Hall of Fame credentials is bringing up the rear on that list. It is Hines Ward, sadly to say. He's on a list at the end of a logjam of players at his position. He will have to wait for them to get in first as they pass him by, and his credentials far better than those that have made it. And those that are now, vying to be in. So I wrote down Andre Johnson, Reggie Wayne, Torrey Holt, Devin Hester. Whether his stats are big, better than theirs, I really don't know. But I just wrote that down at the time of writing this. I believe he's better than at least 2 of those guys on that list. Okay, to continue. The others already who have made it will. Hines Ward, who knows wide receivers are notorious for taking a long time to break through the position, is flooded with talent. Look at some of the great names who had to wait. Art Monk, Tim Brown, Andre Reed, Terrell Owens. You get the picture. I guess Hines Ward will be kept on waiting. I do feel through the longer it goes, the harder the path will be. Not only does he have to wait for the 4 ahead of him, there will soon be more modern day wide receivers added to the ballot. Wide receivers like Larry Fitzgerald and even Antonio Brown, former Steeler. Some others that I left out, I'm sure will be there too. What I'm saying is there is more. They're saying that here is the more Ward has to bide his time, the more he competes with players from his current passing for whose stats may be inflated, may be better, and definitely will overshadow his. So when you look at it, hope for our guy, Hines Ward. It's not lost if there is a silver lining. There is one path, Ward, to make it through this modern era list, but through the senior committee. There is a committee out there called the Senior Committee. This is the Hall of Fame way to honor and recognize names of even forgotten of times of players. The Senior Committee votes on players whose career ended at least 25 years ago. Case in point, recently inducted Steve McMichael. Now, you heard Steve McMichael's stats. I think he had like 93 sacks in 7 years. That's insane. He should have been in way before that. The recently inducted Steve McMichael, who played from 19.
What's up, New York? This is Ricky K coming at you at the NY State of Sports, a new show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Listen to me every Thursday afternoon as we bring you the latest takes on the Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, and Islanders. Plus, you get some college hoops and what's the local sports events going on in the area. It's a state that never sleeps, so why not get the opinions and sports takes that never sleep? Again, every Thursday, 2 p.m. to the NY State of Sports. We'll see you then.
Everybody, this is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunderous Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hockey fans, I'm Adam Kernick.
And I'm Zach Puplis.
Together, we are the newest version of Hockey Talk on IE Sports Radio, The Neutral Zone.
Zone.
We love hockey, but we also know it's not everyone's first sport. So we want to make this show as much for new fans as for the diehards.
Whether you can name all the Swedes on the 08 Red Wings Stanley Cup team, or if you can't tell if Varlamov is a goalie or the latest trendy vodka, we're here to help. With facts, figures, and outrageous fans, we bring you all the hard-hitting hockey news you can handle, while still keeping it fun and on the rails. Well, mostly.
So tune in every week as we go around the hockey world, from college to Canada, the minors and the majors, and everywhere in between.
So bring your cellies.
And your one-timers.
You wicked wristas.
And be sure to protect your five-hole.
Catch the Neutral Zone every week on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
We promise not to pick on the Arizona Coyotes every episode.
All right, welcome back to the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio. We're back, and I'll finish up with the Heinz Ward Hall of Fame blog that I wrote while I was in Pittsburgh, or Latrobe. So I left off. I was at where the honor committee for the Hall of Fame, and this is where how Steve McMichael actually got inducted. So for Heinz Ward, he'd become eligible for the senior committee starting in 2036. Who knows what football will be like by then, but it will be a far cry from the old school physical brand of football Heinz Ward played. That's football. That's football. Fans like me and many others shaking their fists at the clouds, giving a good punt fan love on Heinz Ward's style of play to appreciate his game and give him an honest shot at being elected to the NFL Hall of Fame. Go back, NFL Hall of Fame, go back and watch Heinz Ward highlights and just notice how after a clutch catch, he signals first down with a smile from ear to ear. That is love. That is the love of football. I love Heinz Ward. My man, you will get there, and I can wait. Not I can't wait. I can wait. So that was the blog I wrote on Heinz Ward, and that was put together. Some of those were my thoughts, some of those were my son's thought, my son Anthony, and my friend Greg. But I don't know. I don't know what the NFL sees. My friend Greg came up with a great point. He said, he said, when is Ben Roethlisberger eligible? And I says, I don't think till 2027 because it's 5 years. After you retire, it's 5 years. And he said, all right, listen to me now. Put this in your notes. He goes, in 5 years, Ben Roethlisberger is going to be elected first-time Hall of Famer, and they're going to throw Heinz Ward in with him. He goes, imagine what Canton, Ohio is going to look like that day. I said, wow. I said, you know what? I'm writing it down. I wrote it down, and I put it on a piece of paper, and I stuck it in my bag, in my Steeler bag for camp. So we'll see what happens. I thought that was a great prediction, but we'll see what happens. All right. So sorry for that little delay there, but we're back, and let's get into the some camp moments and some things that happened. So, like you guys know, this was the 27th year of Steelers camp, and the Friday night was the first night we were there. It was the Fan Fest. And we were standing online waiting to meet Tim Worley. And as we're standing there waiting, they have the security, they have the police around and everything. And a gentleman from the Latrobe Police Department was walking around with a couple of members from the department. And me and my friend and my son are standing there. And he comes over to us. His name is Chief Richard Bosco. He is the chief in command out there for the Latrobe Police. And he came out and he picked us right out of the line. And he said, hey, he goes, my Italian boys, with the way people are Italian, my Italian boys are back. So I was totally flabbergasted. I was like, wow, this guy remembers us. I mean, we're not doing anything crazy where we're like, jumping around or cheering. We're just standing there waiting to meet Tim Worley. And he says to me, he goes, it's great to see people come back and, root for their teams and this and that and whatever. He says, but it's great to see people like you, wherever you come from, come back and enjoy your time, with the Steelers and the camp and whatever's going on. And man, it just took to me. And I said, Chief Bosco, I says, can I take a picture with you, man? And he said, sure, why not? Take a picture with me. I have a picture of me and Chief Bosco from the Latrobe Police. And there it is. It just popped up on the screen. This was at the Steeler Fest, Steeler Camp, Friday night. That's Chief Bosco from the Latrobe Police. Excellent job, by the way. Him and his team out there kept everything in good sequence and good manner. Everybody was being good. And I mentioned it to him. I said, hey, I says, I'm a young podcaster. I says, well, I'm not young, but I'm, starting out as a young podcaster. He started laughing. He goes, yeah, I know you're not young. I says, would it be all right just to give you a mention on my podcast, because just the time here with you has been touching to me, and I really like to get it out there about the Latrobe Police and yourself. And he said, my friend, you go ahead and do what you got to do. So at the time, I was like, all right. He gave me the okay, and I got the picture, whatever. My friend took the picture of me and him, and I wasn't really going to do anything. I was just going to say, the Latrobe Police. I wound up calling the Latrobe Police this morning just to find out if it was okay to have Chief Bosco, his picture put up like that. He's law enforcement. I don't want to de-decorate anything that he's done, and have somebody out there think that I'm like fooling around, just throwing a picture of a chief of the police department up there. And I got in touch with his secretary, and she says, "Oh my God," she goes, "that would be incredible." She says, "Yeah," she goes, "I will get in touch with him. I'll explain to him the situation, and he will get back to you." And sure enough, he got back to me later on this afternoon about 3:00 Eastern time, and he said, my friend, my Italian friend, you go do what you got to do. And there it is. That's my boy, Chief Richard Bosco. God bless you, sir. God bless you and your unit. And I thank you for watching over things at Steeler Camp and keeping an eye out for me and my friend and my son, your Italian boys. Thank you very much to the Latrobe Police Department. You guys are the best. So I found that pretty interesting. I wanted to put that out there. Yes, Larry B just put up there, thanks, Chief. Can't thank him enough. Great guy. Great guy. And when we go back out there in Latrobe, I can only imagine what he's going to say to us. All right. So I'll give you the ups and downs of training camp here as we go. I'll start with the ups because the down part was something that happened personally to me, but we'll get to that at the end. The ups of camp, of course, was 27th year. We've made great friends out there in Latrobe. We saw all of them. I was there, of course, with my son Anthony and my best friend, who I call my brother Greg Lapani, and that's just the best, one of the best moments right there. Just going with them and doing what we do and everything and having fun. And like I said, staying up till 1:00 in the morning talking about a football player. It's just great. So that's the top. That's probably the top moment. Of course, the next moment is going to be memorabilia that I received and I got signed. So I'll give you a little look of what happened. So this was from the night practice. I had this custom-made Steeler helmet made up by a friend. And it's an old Steeler helmet. I don't even know what year this is from. I'd have to look it up. And I had them autograph, try to autograph in between the lines of the helmet. But this is how they autographed it. So who was on here? This is DeMonte Casey. Hold on. DeMonte Casey is here. This is Mike Tomlin. I actually met Mike Tomlin at a night practice. I couldn't believe it. My friend says, "Hey, Mike, how come you don't do the coach's pad? You don't sign on the coach's pad?" And he says, "I got a schedule now, boys." He goes, "You guys are back. My Brooklyn boys are back." He just remembers us. It's just so great. I guess it's the accent, the way we look. He picked us right out. He goes, "Hey, my Brooklyn boys are back." Yeah. He goes, "Give me that helmet. Let me sign it for you." He goes, "Because my schedule's booked. You won't see me at camp no more in the coach's pad." I was like, "Oh, my God." And right away there, we were flustered and everything. So that was him. This is Camp Sutton on the back. Try to get it up there for you. Camp Sutton. This is the kicker, Chris Boswell. And here you go. Here's George Pickens on the side of the helmet. George Pickens. And this is Broderick Jones. These two guys played in Georgia together. They are signed right next to each other. This is Calvin Austin. he signs Calvin Austin III. So some of them, I guess, got the gist of the helmet, signing in between the lines. And it was great. I got these all Friday night. So on this helmet alone, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got 8 autographs in one night just walking around the field. It's great. It's totally great. So that was my moment Friday night. Saturday came, and I met the rookie lineman, Troy Futana. I don't know if I'm saying this right. He signed this for me. Great signature. Look at that. Took up a lot of space on the helmet. Big guy, man. Big guy. I mean, I'm a big guy, and he was at least 3 times bigger than me. So I got the rookie to sign the helmet. It's very rare doing this, trying to go to camp and do this. It's very rare that you get a rookie to sign, because usually when the Steelers draft a first-round draft pick, they become great. And, they get, not that gets to their head, but they don't feel they need to be that guy no more. That, let me sign everything and get myself out there. So getting that was really big. Let's hopefully he turns out to be a great player. And also that day, and as you know, if you've been listening to the Yinzer Report, this has become one of my new favorite Steelers. This is Jaylen Warren. I got him. He was signing on the side. There was a mass of people around him. And I don't know, I just stuck the helmet over a bunch of people trying to do it nicely. And he grabbed it and he signed it because I had the markers. I had a guy. See, usually what they do is they walk around with black markers. So you can't really get this signed in black. So I stuck the marker in the helmet and he figured it out. I was like, oh, yeah, you can't put black on black. So he signed it with the gold. So that's Jaylen Warren. This is a great piece. This is getting sent out and will be authenticated. And that's going in the trophy case you see behind me. See it? I don't know if you can see it that good, but and this was a good one because I think this kid is going to be one of the best players on the Steelers very shortly. This is a college mini helmet, and this is NC State. You can see it's NC State, and Peyton Wilson signed it for me. And my son has the same exact helmet, my son Anthony, and we were discussing. Where if we meet up with him, where we gonna have it signed. And sure enough, I said to my son, well, where are you gonna make him sign it? You got to pick the brightest white spot you can, which was right here. Well, the other side, as you can see, is all white. My son goes, how about we try having him sign the visor? And I said, wow, that would be sick. I said, but to get a marker, I don't know. Let's see. To get a marker and try to say, I guess he could have did it. That would be sweet. Maybe we'll try it again next year for that. But seeing the visor here, I do have a helmet. I'll show it in another show. I do have a helmet of Rod Woodson. I think it's a Hall of Fame helmet with like a gold visor. And I have his autograph on the helmet and the visor. So yeah, that's something really to look at. So those were the great moments. As far as the memorabilia getting signed, it was great. And now I'll get into the down part of the trip. So yours truly, your host here, Ralph Calise. I had on Sunday. This was Sunday. I had on an old pair of sneakers, but they're in good. At least at the time, I thought they were in good shape. And they were Steeler colors. The laces were yellow. It was black. I think it had a gold bottom or a white bottom. I don't even remember because they're now in the garbage after what happened. My son and my friend were at one spot. This is like the Steelers. What they do is they stay in the dorms on the college. They walk or take like a cart from the dorms to the gym area where the football they get dressed. They put their pads on and everything. When they walk out, they have to walk down steps and a gravel road to get to the field. So I was standing by the steps as they were coming down. My son and his friend were up top where they were, getting dressed in the room and everything. So as I'm standing there, I see my friend. I'm watching my friend and my son, and I'm waiting for the players to come down, just hoping to stick my helmet out, see if somebody sign it, whatever. My son and my friend, I see my friend take off up top. And for my friend to take off and go try to get somebody's autograph, it's somebody good. So I was like, damn, I'm standing here. I ain't doing nothing. Let me try to go see if I could get who he's getting. And my son yells, Dad, Roman Wilson. It was Roman Wilson was signing up top. Now I remember I told you he had the boot just taken off, so he was walking around and everything without the boot, and he was signing up top as they came out. He wasn't in pads. And I said, son of a gun, I got to get Roman Wilson. So your host here, Ralph Calise of the Yinzer Report, thought he was 25 years old again. And what I did is I started to run up this ramp. It was a pitched ramp. It went up, then it leveled. It was like an access, the people that use the wheelchairs, this is the access, they come down. So it was a ramp that went down this way, turned, and then came back down. I'm running up it, and I don't think I got 20 feet, and Ralph Calise went down. Not face first. I went, frontwards. My left shoulder took the brunt of everything. I had scrapes on my hands were all scraped up. They're a little better now. And I scraped my leg. And I went down and I just pounded my left shoulder. I sat there. Now, nobody is even paying attention because they're all waiting for the players are coming down now. They're all calling for autographs. There was one lady on the side and my son who actually saw me fall from up top. And they're both yelling, are you all right? Of course, my son came running down to help me. And there was one lady there that she says, sir, are you all right? And I got myself up and I was in like a sitting position with my leg on the floor. And I just felt the pain right here in my left shoulder. I'm like, oh my God, what did I do to myself? What did I do to myself? Now, this is all happening, not knowing what happened yet with the shoe. I fell because I tripped over the shoe. I mean, I'm not an in-shape guy, but I'm an in-shape guy where I can at least run up a ramp and not trip over my 2 feet. My son comes over. He goes, Dad, you were right, dude. You were right. And I'm like, hey, I don't know. My shoulder it's numb. I can't. I'm afraid to lift my arm. I don't know what's going on. So he's like, all right, let's get you up. So he gets me up. Some lady came running over. She brought me a bottle of water, which was very nice. I never got her name. Never got a chance to thank her. And my son picked me up and he's like, Dad, what are you doing? And he goes, it's Roman Wilson. You're going to get him. Don't worry about it. You go buy it. You go buy it at the store. What are you doing? You're 55 years old. You're running around here like you're 12. He goes, let me do the running around. I'm 25 years old. I'll get you the guy. So he was trying to make me feel good. And I was just more worried about my shoulder. And my shoulder was really bad. So what it is basically I guess you would call it just like a bruise above my left breast and below it, because that part of my body is the part of my body that took the brunt of the fall. And I went back to the hotel and I was like, should I go to the doctor? Should I get it checked out? I was leaving the next morning. Yeah, Danny, I see what you put there. My dad wants to know if there's a video. He wants to see it. LMAFO. You know what? It wasn't funny at the beginning, but we did laugh about it when we got back to the room. So we got back to the room and we were leaving the next morning. And I said, you know what? Let me just put ice on it. I'll pound the ice on it. I'll take a hot shower in the morning and see where we go from there. And thank God now it's Tuesday. It's feeling a lot better. But Larry B gave me an idea. My producer out there, thanks for producing the show, Larry B. He gave me an idea of what to do to make it feel even better. And I'm going to try it tonight. I may be screaming, but that's a different story. But all in all, that's what happened to your host. That was the down moment of the trip. But I'm all right. As you can see, I can lift my arm up. My arm is, it's not out of whack where it's broke or anything. It's probably a bad bruise. There's no it's all internal because you can't see anything on my skin. And that was it. And we left camp. We left camp Monday morning, and we said goodbye to our friends, and then we left, drove home. I felt great. I did all the driving home. My son picked up at the end, but I was feeling great. Came home, explained the story to the wife and my daughter, and they still think that if I'm feeling pain in another couple of days, I should, or another day, I should go to the doctor. But I'll see how I feel tomorrow, and I think I'm all right. I think I'm going to make it through. I'm 55, not going on 25, but hey, I still can move around. So that was the downs of the trip. You heard the ups of the trip. You saw all my memorabilia. Just want to thank everybody for tuning in again. Show means a lot to me. You guys know that. Hey, Larry B, thanks again for producing. I'm going to lose you next week. I'll try it on my own. All right, guys. Well, this has been the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Don't forget, today is Tuesday. We have a lot of shows coming up. I believe starting at 7 with Patty Bax, Buffalo Huddle. I believe Jen is on after her. Cleveland, the show of the land, Cleveland. And then you'll finish up the Philly Talk Sports with Bobby and Chris. And then Cale Henderson will have the Vegas Sports Show coming up. Hold on, just a quick check in the chat before I go. Jen had written before my understanding, it's up to Ayuk which team he wants to sign with once he has agreed to trade with the 49ers. Yeah, I have a feeling this is going to be going on for a while. Larry B, Hines Ward deserves the Hall of Fame. I agree with you 100%, Larry B. Gridiron 2-4, put Hines in the Hall of Fame. It's great. I'd love to hear the feedback on it. Hope you're having a good show. Always Arizona Sports. Larry B. It. Thanks, Chief. Yeah, that was great, Larry. I think it was the highlight of my trip. Thank you for keeping us safe. That's awesome. There's the picture. There he is. Chief Bosco, you're the best. I'm pumping my fist to the sky like I do for Hines Ward. Gridiron, wow. All right, that was good to remember. But yeah, hey, that's it. That's the Yinzer Report. Let's go, Pirates. Big 3-game series coming up. Thanks again for joining. This is the Yinzer Report on IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go!